Hey guys, today we're gonna film here the close guard, all about my close guard. And the reason I decided to do this video, it's because two reasons actually. One, because many people ask me like, what should I do if the half guard is not working? And that's true. I mean, like if you do the, especially like on the gym, if you do half guard a lot, half guard a lot, half guard a lot, and you train for the same train partners, they will figure out your game, and soon the half guard might stop working, But it's good because in the tournament it's supposed to work. Because they're not your training partners, your opponents are not your training partners, they don't know your game really well. So the close guard is always my second option. Every time like I feel like my half guard is not going to work, or if I want to surprise my opener or this and that, I always go to the close guard. There was like times of my career that I was starting the match pulling close guard, attacking for the close guard, and then I was trying to go to the half guard. So I really like the close guard a lot. And guys, one of the main reasons I like the close guard a lot is because as I always focus on my game, as my pressure passing, as my half guard, the close guard I believe is the type of game that everyone can do. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter if you're fast, if you're slow, if you're lightweight, if you're heavyweight, everyone can play it. And I always focus on all my game about this, because I'm not that type of fancy guy who use like all type of beating bolos and warm guards and this and that. So I like very simple stuff. So I see many people saying that my game is great for older people, and that might be true because it's all about simple stuff that you don't need to move too much. So that's one of the reasons I like about the close guard. Close guard, you don't need to move too much. You just lock your legs and you start working from there. So that's probably like the main reason about why I like close guard so much. And we're gonna see a bunch of variations here about sweep, submissions, ways to avoid people to open your guard, ways to, if the guy open your guard, what you should do. So you're gonna focus a lot about the close guard today. I hope you guys enjoy, and I have my partner Anis here to help me out. So, okay guys, so the first position we're gonna work here, it's gonna be how to pull to the close guard. Doesn't matter if you have a good close guard, but if you cannot close the guard, then you are in trouble. So you always should know how to pull close guard. So the first one you're gonna do is the most basic one, just how to jump in the close guard. Okay? So guys, that's the easiest thing we have. But there are some good details here that you should know. So first let me just show the position, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. So guys, first thing you gotta do is I'm gonna engage with my opponent. So I'm gonna make a grip on him. He's gonna make a grip on me. I'm gonna control his arm. And so I'm gonna have his lapel, I'm gonna have his arm. And now I'm gonna jump on the close guard, right? Guys, when you talk about jumping on the close guard here, all I have to do is to throw my leg on him and close the guard over there, right? But guys, it's really important to know that, for example, if I jump on the close guard, just stretch it like this, just straight like this, look. There's a chance that he falls and my back hit the mat like really hard. And maybe I can even lose my breath, and that's not gonna be good. So every time I jump in the close guard, what I like to do is, I'm gonna control the guy's arm, and now I'm gonna, the leg that's gonna go first is the leg in the same side of the arm. So this one. So this one is the one I'm gonna throw first, because I don't want him having his arm to avoid my move. So for example, if I would jump in the other side, he could use this arm to push my leg down, no, the opposite, to push my leg down like this, and then I can't close. So on this side first, I'm gonna make sure that he cannot move this arm. And now second detail, I'm gonna jump a little sideways, because in case of if I fall, I'm gonna fall with my shoulder on the mat, not my back, so I'm not gonna lose my breath. So I'm gonna do like this, look. I'm gonna jump a little sideways. Guys, in case if this happens, look, he keep his posture up here, I'm gonna give him a shake, so I'm gonna do this, look, until I bring him down. So my goal is always to bring him down. I don't want to stay there if he's standing. When he's standing, he's just about to start opening my guard, so I don't want to do this. So I'm always gonna give him a shake and go to the ground. So let's see again. So fighting against Anis, I'm gonna engage with him, I'm gonna control his lapel, control his arm. I'm gonna throw my leg first in the same side that I have his arm. So I'm gonna throw and I'm gonna jump a little bit sideways. So look, I'm gonna tap like this. If he doesn't fall, I'm gonna give him a shake until it goes to the ground. And here is the position that I want to be. So here I'm just about to start working the closer. So that's it, it's pretty simple. And it's just important to remember, control the guy's arm and throw this leg first. Fall a little bit sideways with your shoulder on the mat. Give the opponent a shake and you have him on the closer. That's it. So one more time. There you are. Guys, many times we want to pull closer, but I know how Jiu-Jitsu works. Many of the schools, like at Marcelo's for example, at São Paulo, in Alliance, 90% of the rows we start from the knees. Sometimes the mat's crowd, so we don't have the space enough to everyone start standing, so we start from the knees, right? So we should know how to pull closer from the knees as well, because here there is no jumping. So I have a way that's kind of like a jumping. Looks like I'm jumping the closer, but I'm on the knees, right? So guys, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna control my opponent's lapel and his sleeve here. Now, if it was standing, I would like to throw this leg first, right? As it's not standing, I'm gonna stand up this leg over here, right? Guys, once I stood up this leg, I'm gonna kind of stand up and jump on him. I'm gonna kind of do like this, look. Right? But I'm gonna do this a little short here. So look, I'm here fighting against the knees. I got his lapel, I got his arm. I'm gonna stand up this leg first. Now I'm gonna open this leg as much as I can. So I'm gonna do this, look. And I have him on the closer. So that's it. That's all I need. So it's basically what we were doing before from standing, but we are not standing, we are on the knees. So I'm gonna stand up this leg first. And now I'm just gonna throw this leg on him. So I'm fighting against the knees, have his lapel, have his arm, I have this leg standing. Now I'm just gonna do this leg. And I close the guard. So one more time. Fighting against the knees. The closer, I'm gonna control his arm, I'm gonna control his lapel. I'm going to stand up this leg and I'm going to throw my other leg. So just like this way. And I have his trainer closer. Guys, if you want to practice the closer, I believe that's really important to know how to pull to the closer. So doesn't matter if you're standing, if you're on the knees. If you want to practice the closer, you have to get to close the guard. So for example, if you pull your opponent just like this, and try to close, he's going to stop your leg here and you're not going to be able to practice your closer too much. So that's why I believe it's really important to know how to push the closer. So that's my favorite way when I'm on the knees. I'm going to stand up this leg and close. Guys, one thing that's very common is I'm about to pull closer. He kind of figured, and to avoid myself closing the guard, he's gonna lift this leg up, right? So look, it would be something like this. Like I'm gonna try to pull closer, I'm gonna stand up this leg. Then when I throw this leg over here, he stood up this leg, right? And then I cannot close the guard. I could try to close like this, but not really, right? So what I'm gonna do over here is, I want to still close the guard. I don't want to close this type of close guard over here. We're gonna see this position as well. But that's not what I want right now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna control his arm, I'm gonna control his lapel, I'm gonna hip escape, place a hook here against his hook, and now at the same time I'm gonna pull him to me and I'm gonna kick this hook. So I'm gonna do this, look. And close the guard. Right? So I really want to close the guard. That's my goal. And then I'm going to work all the setups from here. So to be able to do that, that's what I need to do. I'm going to kick his leg. So let's see again. So look, fighting against the knees. I'm going to control his lapel. I'm going to control his arm. I'm going to stand up this leg. I'm going to jump on him. He stood up that leg. Once he stood up that leg, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to try to close the guard here. I'm going to hip escape. Bring the foot against his foot. Come back to the middle. Kick and close. That's it. That's gonna be like a very good trick to close the guard, right? So one more time. I think this angle is perfect. So fighting against this guard, his lapel, got his arm. I'm gonna stand up this leg. Gonna jump, hip escape, place the hook in, kick, 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 close the guard. That's it. What's gonna happen is we're gonna try to pull closer in the same way. My opponent is gonna stand up the leg, right? But for some reason didn't get to kick his hook and close the guard. So I might need to deal with that leg up, right? So look guys, I'm here, I'm gonna control his arm, gonna stand up one leg, I'm gonna jump over there again, he's gonna stand up that leg. But guys, now for some reason didn't get to place this hook here, right? So I might need to deal with that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close the guard. That's the first step, right? Guys, when I close the guard, I'm gonna try to start closing like a little high over here, right? And now I'm gonna start working on his sleeve over here. I'm gonna try to control his sleeve and push to the other side. Guys, all my goal here is to try to force him to sit down. Right now he's kind of all his weight towards me. So what I'm gonna try to do is this, look. I wanna cross his arm here a little bit. When I cross his arm, he might try to take out this arm over here. So when he tries to take out, that's the time. Look, I'm gonna move my buff legs down. He's gonna fall off, and I'm gonna come up, getting the sweep. Right? So let's see again. So look, I'm in this situation. I'm gonna close the guard. I'm gonna start trying to close like it really high. Right? Once I did that, now I'm gonna try to cross his arm. Right? Guys, my goal is he's gonna try to yank this arm, and when he tries to yank this arm, that's the time. Look, I'm gonna push my hooks down, and I'm gonna come up with the closer. Or with the closer, or with the sweep. Right? So let's see one more time. So look, I'm here, right? First thing, I'm gonna close my guard really high. So I don't wanna stay like this. I wanna stay like this. Right? Now I'm gonna try to even break this grip if I need and cross his arm. When he tries to yank this arm, I just push my buff legs down and come up. And I just got a sweep over here. So one more time. I'm the closer. I was trying to go to the closer, lift this leg up. Right? So what I'm gonna try to do, close the guard like really high over here. If I need, I can even work two hands on his sleeve and cross, right? Now when he tries to yank this arm, I kind of like just stretch. I was like this, and then I just do this, and I go up. That's all I did. So let's do that since the beginning again. I'm here. Gonna stand up this leg and jump. He brought this leg in. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close the guard really high, just like that. Once I did that, now I can even try to break this grip, so I can break and cross. And now, when he tries to yank this arm, I'm gonna stretch my leg down, and my hip is gonna go forward. Look, on this way. And I'm gonna get the sweep. Guys, let's start talking about the very, very basic positions we have, right? I think I could not like film a closer DVD without talking the very basics. So the goal here is gonna try to take the details that maybe you don't know from the basic positions. So now we're gonna work here probably the most basic sweep we have in Jiu-Jitsu, the scissor sweep. Probably that one that everyone learns like the first or second class when you start Jiu-Jitsu. But I just wanna focus on details here, so to make sure the position gets kind of like perfect. So guys, let's imagine fighting against my opponent and he made like the right posture here, right? He controls like one hand my buff lapels, the other hand is around my hip, and he's on my closer, right? So guys, first thing I'm gonna try to do here, I'm gonna try to make a grip over here and bend his arm a little bit, right? When he has his arm stretched here, he has a very good posture. So I just wanna try to do this a little bit, like just a little bit. Just to make sure I bother his posture a little bit, okay? Now my second hand is gonna go to his collar here, in the same side of his arm. right? Guys, I can control this arm anywhere I want as long as he doesn't post his hand on the mat. So for example, if I control here, he can post his hand on the mat, and that's not good. If I control here, try to post this, it's hard for him. So that's what I want, right? If I control here, I can still do it, but I would say that this part is gonna be the best part because I kind of block like around his shoulder and around his hand. So I'm gonna control like this. So look, I have this and I have his opposite lapel here. A big mistake I see many people doing when they're doing scissor sweep, especially beginners, they control here. Here we don't have any pressure to finish the sweep. So it gotta be in the opposite lapel, right? Guys, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open my guard, I'm gonna hip escape a little bit, and I'm gonna set up the scissor, right? Guys, I have the scissor sweep. But if I try to sweep my opponent from here, it's really, really heavy. I can't finish. So the best detail here is gonna be, I'm gonna pull him to me first, and I'm gonna move his weight all towards me. So look, from here I'm gonna do this. Now his weights are not on his leg anymore. So now it's the time that I'm gonna kick and finish. Guys, one thing that I like a lot about the scissor sweep is that we always gonna end up with the hand on the collar. So we really can try to take advantage from here, like going to some choke, the other type of choke, maybe to double attack, right? So the fact that we always end up with the hand on the collar, it's a really good deal, right? Guys, it was like a 6-point sweep. I got a sweep and I got the mount. So what makes the position very good too. So let's see again. So look, I have been using the close guard, right? I'm gonna control his lapel. I'm gonna control his arm. I'm gonna try to break his posture a little bit. So I'm gonna try to bend his arm at least a little bit. So look, if his arm is stretched, I'm gonna try to do this, right? Now I'm gonna open my close guard, hip escape, put this leg on the ground, my shin against his belly. So I'm gonna stay like this, right? Once I'm here, I'm gonna bring him to me and kick. Guys, make sure this leg is on the ground against his leg. And make sure my shin is against his belly. My hand is on his collar, this hand is on his arm. I'm gonna bring him to me, I'm gonna kick, and get on top right away. That's it. So, one more time. So, just focus on the details again. Control his arm around his biceps here. Don't let him post his hand on the ground. Control his collar, 4 fingers inside. I'm gonna open my guard. I'm gonna hip escape. Bring my knee against his belly. Bring this leg against his knee. Now I'm gonna bring him to me and kick. So this is probably the most important part of the position. If I try to sweep him from here, I have to have like really strong legs. Also I bring him to me. Now that's much easier. That's it. Guys, now what you're gonna do is, let's imagine also again my opponent has the posture, right? And has the posture of this arm. Could be the other arm as well, like it doesn't matter how is his posture, right? I'm gonna do the side here, that's my better side for the sweep. So, guys, let's imagine also again I'm here, right? But guys, now let's imagine that for some reason this scissor sweep was not working, right? Maybe like I was not feeling confident, maybe this is just not my position, right? So I should have variations here. So we're gonna work some other very basic sweep. In Brazil we call that like a pendulum sweep. It's gonna be like a pendulum sweep in English, right? Okay, so what you're gonna do is, once again, I'm gonna control his arm that makes posture. I'm gonna try to break it a little bit. So his arm is stretched, I'm just gonna try to push it down and control his arm over here. I don't wanna let him posting his hand on the mat. That's really important. So control him. Same thing as we were talking about scissor sweep, control anywhere around like his elbow over here, at some point that he cannot post his hand on the mat. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to control his opposite leg underneath his leg. So look, from here, I'm gonna kind of open my guard a little bit to help me out, and I'm gonna go underneath his leg, right? Guys, now that's the goal here. I have to go as much as possible. So I'm gonna open my both legs, and I'm gonna go as much as I can, right? Just like this. Guys, this position is called like pendulum sweep because now by both legs we work as a pendulum. This leg is gonna go towards that direction, and this leg is gonna go towards this direction, right? So I'm gonna do this, look, and he's gonna fall off balance. Why? He doesn't have anything to post towards this way. I'm controlling his arm. If I didn't have the control of his arm, he would post his hand on the ground and then I'm stuck. But right here, I'm gonna control his arm so he cannot post. So now look guys, my left leg is gonna go towards that way. My right leg is gonna go towards this way. So I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna get a sweep. I always like when I finish the sweep to keep controlling his leg for a little while, right? Just to make sure he doesn't do some crazy bridge here and escape. So I'm gonna control for like 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then I let go and I establish the mount. So let's see again. So look, fighting against this, I'm gonna control his arm kind of like around his triceps, push it down. Once I did that, I'm gonna reach underneath his leg and open my both legs here. Guys, a good detail I see many people doing mistake is when they try to sweep, they don't stretch this leg down. They just do like this, look. And then they fall over this leg and they don't get to come up. This leg makes we stuck the move, so we cannot finish the move. Right? Looks like we have some arm bar here, but not even. It's not good. So what you should do is I have to stretch this leg down this way, look. Don't do just like this. Do this. Right? So pay attention. This leg is gonna go towards that way, this leg is gonna go towards this way. So I'm gonna do this move, look. 1, 2, 3, and then I let go. And establish the mount. So one more time. Close guard. We're gonna control his elbow. We're gonna go underneath his leg. Now this leg is gonna go like this. This leg is gonna go over there. So and I'm gonna establish the mount. So I would say that probably the most important detail is make sure you stretch the leg down and don't fall over your leg. And then you get like a very clean mount. Guys, a good combo here for the last position we did is we're gonna go for the same sweep, and if for some reason I cannot get the sweep, I can always go to the armbar, right? So for example, fighting against this, I'm gonna control his arm over here, push it down. I'm gonna go for that very same sweep. So look, I'm here, I'm gonna open my guard, control underneath his leg, and go here. Guys, when I get here, if I try to sweep him, and for some reason I cannot, like maybe he's a very heavy opponent, maybe he just have a very good base. Guys, at any time I can switch the plan here and throw this leg over his head and go to the armbar. Okay? So this is a very basic position that if you are like probably like blue, purple belt, you already know. But I believe that the most important thing in Jiu-Jitsu is timing. So you always should try to reach the right timing to get this position. So for example, fighting against this, I'm gonna control his arm, push it down, I'm gonna get underneath his leg, I'm gonna try to sweep him, I couldn't, he was very heavy, just gonna throw this leg over and reach the armbar. That's it. So this is going to be a very good combination for the last position. So let's just change the angle over here. So fighting against this, I'm going to control his arm, push it down. Now I'm going to go underneath this leg. I'm going to try to sweep. Was feeling him very heavy. What I'm going to do, just going to throw this leg over and I have the armbar. I would always suggest don't close the guard over here because I miss pressure with this leg. So I want to have this leg as heavy as possible on top of his head. So I want to stay like this. And now can attack his arm and get a submission. That's it. Guys, on this situation here, that's probably like when I right started jiu-jitsu like back in 2001. That was my favorite sweep. It's the one that we call in Brazil like hand on the belt. That the hand is not necessarily on the belt, but that was my favorite sweep. And it's very basic sweep, probably like many of you guys know. But let's see some details here. So, guys, every time, even until nowadays, even in the high level as a black belt, every time I'm fighting against my opponent and I feel that he didn't make the right posture, what I mean the right posture, when he didn't control my chest, I'm gonna try to hit this position. So for example, if my opponent's making posture like this, that's gonna stop my sweep. Look, I cannot come up. But if I'm fighting against him and he just have, for example, his both hands like this, or if for some reason white belts and beginners and even like black belts do that all the time sometimes. They don't make any posture, they just move away like this. I'm gonna try to hit this position. So when I'm gonna use this position? When my opponent's not controlling my chest, right? If he's here, I'm not even gonna try. But if for some reason my chest is free, that's the time. Guys, all I gotta do is, it should be a really quick move. So look, I'm here, I'm pretending that I'm doing nothing. Now in just one motion, I'm gonna come up, right? Guys, once I come up, I have to make sure I don't put my elbow on the mat. It's a very common mistake I see people doing. They try to come up from here, they try to sweep from here, and then I don't have the right leverage. So I should be here, right? Look, hand on the mat. Now I have to make sure he doesn't have a hand on the mat to post. So if he tries to post on the mat, I'm gonna control his hand and I'm gonna sweep him. Right, so let's see again. So look, fighting SMUs, right? Every time I feel that he didn't make a posture like on my chest, if my chest is free, I'm gonna try to hit the sweep. So all I gotta do is I should go in the diagonal and place my hand on the mat over there. This position is called in Brazil like hand on the belt, because I can grab his belt instead of grabbing his arms. So I can grab his belt and go there. But if I feel that he's posting his hand on the mat, then I should grab, like if he's posting his hand like this, for example, then I should grab his sleeve or his arm or anything I can. So guys, one very important thing as well is make sure, just move a little bit, make sure you put your right foot on the mat to finish the sweep. So look, what's gonna give me all the leverage is this foot on the mat. So look, it's this, right? Now I'm gonna control his arm, I'm gonna lift my hip up, and I'm gonna get on the mat, on the mount. So guys, if you guys see, on the close guard especially, the hip strength is really important. Most of our sweeps is gonna come from our hips, it's gonna come from moves like this, look. So I'm fighting against this. If he's like this, that's the perfect example. For some reason he didn't make the posture. All I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in the diagonal, hand on the mat, I'm gonna control his arm or his belt or his gi, anything I want. My right foot is gonna go to the mat and I'm gonna come up and finish the sweep, get in the mount. So that's all I need to do. Go to the diagonal, right foot on the mat and control his arm or his belt and finish. This position, if my opponent doesn't have the right posture, if he's not blocking my chest, it's gonna be super efficient. Of course, if my opponent's blocking my chest, then I gotta move, I gotta change for something else. But if he doesn't have the control of my chest, of my upper body, that's gonna be like one of the best positions in the close guard. Guys, on this situation here, let's see like probably like at this part of the video, we are talking about the very basic stuff for the close guard, right? So now let's see here one of the most basic submissions we have in the close guard, the Kimura, right? And let's try to see some details here, and let's go. So guys, let's imagine I'm fighting against my opponent, and once again he didn't do the right posture. So for example, if he control like on my upper guard, that's what he should do. But at this time he didn't do that, right? So he was just like maybe hanging with his hands on the mat, maybe just over there. So guys, what you're gonna do is I have to control his wrist and kind of go to the last sweep that you were doing before. So it's very short move here, very quick. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna control his wrist and I'm gonna come up. Once I got here, I'm gonna switch this hand over and I'm gonna control his wrist. Guys, once I got here, I see people who does like with 5 fingers controlling his wrist. I see people who does like 4 fingers controlling his wrist. I see like good and bad points on both, you know. When I do like this, I see myself with more leverage to move towards that way. But I don't see a very good control of my arm. When I do like this, I feel like a very good control, but in the same time, I feel harder to move this arm on that way. So when I'm like this, I feel much better to move on this way. But here I feel much more control of the guy's arm. So this is kind of like up to you. You have to feel. Being honest, sometimes I do like 4 fingers, sometimes I do 5 fingers. I kind of see how it's going, right? But I'm gonna teach you with this one first. That's probably like the better control and harder to tap. This one's kind of like less control and easier to tap. So I'm gonna control his arm and I'm gonna switch his arm over his arm and until I get my wrist. Once I did that, I'm gonna lay down and put my back on the mat. Guys, if I try to tap him from here, it doesn't make too much sense. So what I gotta do, I should put my right foot on the mat, hip escape, and throw this leg over his back. Just like this, right? Now that I'm here, I'm gonna imagine that I have to put his hand behind of his head. That's the goal. So I'm here, I'm gonna start moving his arm, move, until he taps. For sure he's gonna tap much earlier than that. For sure he's gonna tap much earlier than when his hands gets behind his head. But that should be my goal, to go all this way over here. Sometimes I see people doing like this, look, doesn't make too much sense. I should always try to go towards that way, look. That's the goal, right? So let's see again. So look, I'm fighting against my opponent here, and I found him with his hand on the mat. Guys, that's very common, for example, when, for example, my opponent, it's like this. Look, he has his both hands on my chest. Then I switch it inside, and then I try to do that sweep. I try to go here. Then he put this hand on the mat, and then I go forward, right? Once I go forward, now I'm doing 5 fingers, look. Hand on my wrist, 5 fingers on his wrist, lay down, throw your leg over his back to make sure he doesn't roll. I don't want to avoid him rolling. So if I'm like this, he can roll and defend the Kimura. If I'm like this, he cannot roll. So now I'm gonna hip escape a little bit, and I'm gonna imagine I want to put his hand behind of his head. So that's the goal. And I get a submission, right? So guys, I think the best way to approach this position to kind of force my opponent to go there would be this. Look, imagine he has some grip here or something. I'm going to switch my both hands inside, and I'm going to try to do that last sweep we were working. So I'm going to try to do this. He's going to block me. Once he blocks me, I'm going to control his wrist. My hands are going to go around his arm, meet my wrist. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to throw my leg over his back, his lower back, hip escape, and I'm going to go towards that direction. That's it. And I'm going to get a submission. Guys, now let's work here another very basic submission, right? The arm bar from the close guard, and let's try to see as much details as possible. Okay, so guys, let's imagine I'm fighting against my opponent. I'm in the close guard, right? And I want to reach the arm bar, right? Guys, probably has a posture here, right? It has one hand in the front, the other hand over there. Now what I'm gonna do is this arm is gonna meet his behind. It's gonna go behind his triceps over there, and I'm gonna try once again to bend his arm. So that's my goal, to arrive here. I have this arm crossing, going behind his triceps, this hand on his wrist, right? Guys, once I got here, my next step should be open my guard and place my foot on his hip in the same side of his arm. So I got there, I'm gonna put this foot on his hip over here. Now, second step, I'm gonna throw this leg under his armpit, right? So I was here, now I'm gonna do this. And look how close I am to the armbar. Guys, I don't want him doing like a rear neck choke on his biceps over here. Like, if he does this, he's gonna defend the armbar. So my second hand is always gonna protect his hand. I'm always gonna stay here. I can even move this hand if I need, but every time I feel that he's trying to meet his biceps, I catch his hand over here. And now I'm gonna push his hand down, and there I am. I have the armbar. Once I got the armbar, I'm gonna leave this hand behind his triceps. So once I got the armbar over there, I'm gonna move to his wrist. And then I'm gonna have both hands on his wrist. I'm gonna keep my both legs very heavy on his head and on his back. And I'm gonna lift my hip up and get the submission, right? So let's see again. I'm fighting against this. Doesn't matter which side he has the posture. Look, so for example, if he was like this as well, it's the same thing. Look, I'm gonna control around his wrist over here, and this hand is gonna go behind his triceps over there, right? If I can bend his arm a little bit, that's even better. So look, he has the posture, he has his arm stretched. I'm gonna do this, right? Once I did that, I'm gonna place my foot on his hip, and I'm gonna throw my leg over his armpit in the other side. So it should be this. So it should be all in the same move. So look, I'm here. Right? Now, hand goes to his head, always paying attention about he trying to reach his armpit or his biceps. I don't want this. So push now, throw the leg over. Guys, I would always avoid to close the guard over to connect my feet over here, because this I'm gonna miss pressure over his head. So I should try to stay heavy like this. And I'm gonna get the armbar. Let's go, guys. So, guys, next position is gonna work here is gonna be the most basic choke from the close guard we have, right? Just like the basic chokes from the close guard. So, guys, once again, I should try to approach these chokes when my opponent doesn't have the right posture. So even if he has the right posture here, I should always try to break it. When I mean break it, I should try to go, look, underneath his arm, right? Break it, and now he doesn't have the posture anymore. So, look, if my opponent's here, I should always try to go underneath his arm, can control his lead as well, break it, and bring him to me, right? Once he's close to me, that's the time to start working the choke, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open his gi, and I'm gonna place this hand as deep as possible. And I'm gonna control his collar, right? Now, guys, I have two options here. I can go underneath my first arm, or I can go over my first arm. So if I go underneath my first arm, I'm gonna go palm up, 4 fingers. So I'm gonna place my foot here on the mat, I'm gonna hip escape a little bit, and I'm gonna go underneath my first arm with 4 fingers. So I'm gonna go over there, 4 fingers on his collar. Now I'm gonna come back to the mirror, I'm gonna bring him to me, and I'm gonna choke, right? Guys, if I want to do this type of grip with 4 fingers down, with palm down, let's change the angle. If I want to do this grip here, now I should move towards the other side. So I should do this, look. And I'm gonna have all this part over here clean, right? I can control his gi like this, or I can control like thumb inside. It's whatever you guys prefer, right? So I'm gonna control thumb inside. Now it's really important, I should come back to the mirror again, so I should come back like this. And now I'm gonna push and get a submission. So let's see again. So look, I'm in the close guard, right? I'm gonna try to break this grip. I can break like this, just like pushing here, any way you guys want. I like this one. We're gonna talk more about it later. So I like this one a lot. Break, bring him to me with my legs, and I'm gonna place my hand on his collar. Once I did that, I'm gonna place my foot on the same side, and I'm gonna reach his gi over here. I'm gonna control thumb inside, or just like this. Now look, I'm in the diagonal here. I'm gonna come back to the mirror. Once I came back to the mirror, I'm gonna pull, and I'm gonna get a submission. That's it. Guys, on this situation here, let's work a very quick kind of like arm bar from the close guard as well. Guys, this position is very, very powerful, and this is one of the positions that I work more when I'm training for Marcelo, for example. He does it like really, really well, right? So, guys, let's imagine I'm fighting against my opponent, and for some second, he put his hand on the mat, right? So guys, that's the perfect time to reach this position that we are talking about. Some people call that like inverted armbar, and there are many nicknames for that. Guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go underneath his arm over here. I'm gonna go underneath his arm and bring his arm to me, right? Once I brought his arm to me, I'm gonna start connecting my hands, right? And now I'm gonna hip escape as much as possible. So I don't want to stay flat like this. I want to hip escape, hip escape, hip escape until I get to this point, right? Guys, when I get on this point over here, when I hip escape a lot, you guys will see that there is a hole here between his elbow and my upper body, right? So this is the hole that I want to reach. So I'm going to keep hip escape even a little more. Now I'm going to place my foot over here, and I'm going to bring my knee over his chest. Guys, my hand, I'm going to control my lapel. I'm going to change the angle so, but I'm going to control my lapel. And my right arm, I'm going to place over my elbow, like this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift kind of like my shoulder and my head, and I'm going to push my elbow down, getting the submission. So I'm going to do like this move, look. And I'm going to get a submission. So let's see again. Look, I'm fighting against this. I found him with his hand on the mat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go underneath his arm, connect my both hands, and bring it to me. Once I brought it to me, I'm going to hip escape, and I'm going to put my foot over here, and my knee over his shoulder. Now my hand is going to go to my lapel, and my right arm is going to go to my elbow. Now look guys, that's really important. I'm going to kind of lift my head and my shoulder, kind of like this. Look, I'm not going to stay like this, I'm going to stay like this. And I'm going to pull my elbow down, getting the submission. So let's change the angle here to make sure you guys see all the grips. So look, I'm fighting against this. I'm going to go underneath his arm. I'm going to connect my both hands. I'm going to bring it to me. Hip escape, hip escape. Now I'm going to place my foot on his hip. Knee over his shoulder. This hand goes on my lapel. Pay attention. This hand goes over my elbow. I'm going to lift my head and my shoulder, and I'm going to push my elbow down, getting the submission. So that's the goal. And guys, I see some people, let's just change it, we're going to just show one more thing. Sometimes it's worth even doing like this, look. Also get here, placing like 4 feet, 4 toes on his leg, just to make sure he doesn't drive forward. So I can do like this, or I can do like this. Anyway, you guys feel better. And his defense here is to drive forward. So look, if he drives forward over here, he defends the position. So that's why we should always try to keep the distance over here. Look, he cannot come forward. Now, I'm just going to lift my head and shoulder, pull my elbow down, and as my elbow is over his elbow, that's why the submission is going to happen.